You guys ready? All right. Good evening, everybody. And welcome to tonight's city council meeting. So let's get started. First order, a call to order. And then roll call. Deb.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
And Counselor Hansi is excused absent. Counselor Purser. Counselor Parrish.
Here.
Counselor Downs. And Counselor Miller.
Right, thank you very much. I'm going to ask that everybody stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It was an abrupt.
Sorry about that. All right, we have agenda set forth before us. Are there any changes?
There are no changes to the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you. I need a motion to accept.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the agenda as before us.
Second.
All right, Janine got the second.
Counselor Williams. Counselor Purser.
Yes.
Counselor Parrish.
Yes.
Counselor Downs. Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Great, thank you. We have one presentation tonight, which I'm really excited about, which is the Fruita Youth Action Council. It's going to come up and present, but I don't know who's going to come up and present. So are all of you guys coming up? Come on up. The floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening. My name is Abby Talley. I'm a junior at Fruita Monument. I've been in Fruit Action Council coming up on 6 years, and we're here today just to present to you about who we are and what we've been up to lately. So for Youth Action Council is a group of students in 6th grade through 12th grade, and we are big like youth activists, and we really want to help make a difference and an impact in our community. So our main function is to volunteer in community run events as well as be a voice of the youth to the community and to put input on youth involved decisions to help the community make the best decisions for the youth.
These are some of our projects. We do a basketball tournament and we do a canned food drive where we donate a bunch of canned foods that we collect from local places. And we donate them to the Food Bank of the Rockies. And our angel tree that we donate presents to little kids through the Salvation Army. We do the pumpkin carving, which is where we just carve pumpkins with little kids. We do the movie nights in the park, which is held here at the Civic Center. And we do the Thoughtful Thursday, which is where every Thursday we have an inspirational quote that one of us members sends to Miranda, and she posts them on Instagram.
So some of our successes and our service projects, some of our main ones were the pumpkin carving competition, game nights at the Independence Village down the road, and the Angel Tree fundraiser. Our main goal is to try and group the community together, especially when it comes to young youths, so that we can all just create a better community.
Some of our future plans is we really want to grow our social media presence, which as mentioned, we've been doing a lot of Thoughtful Thursday posts, which is a way to just get us out there with more posts and involved in the community. We also really want to focus on the younger generation of children and build an expectation for events and things going on. So as these younger kids grow up, they can expect these things to happen and we can really expand our influence throughout the community. So thank you, and we'll take any questions at this time.
Great, thank you. Let's bring it back to council.
How about introducing the other two members of your?
Hi, I'm Dahlia. I'm a freshman at Williamsburg Academy of Colorado. And this is my first year at Fruita Youth Action Council.
Hi, I'm Taylor Smith. I go to Caprock Academy, and this is also my first year at Fruita Youth Action Council.
I just want to say I brag on you guys all the time up here. You can just ask them. I've never seen such an ambitious group of humans before. Like I just you don't say no to anything and you are able to make it happen. It's really inspiring and great. I know that you're in the middle of recruiting. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so throughout March and into April, we have our recruitment process open where we try to get like flyers out and information out to that middle school through 12th grade age group. And through that, they just have to fill out like a couple of questions and then they go through that first process. And then we have interviews where they're going to be interviewed by our president, vice president, and as well as our leader, Miranda, and our secretary. And then they'll be decided if we accept them or not.
How large of a group are you?
I believe we have about 12 members right now. So, but we do have room for like around 20 members. So we definitely want to build up those numbers again.
Right.
So I and I'm a council liaison like Janine is with you, with a group called the Livability Commission. And we've talked about possibly collaborating with you guys and like inviting you to come to some of our meetings because that's a perspective that I kind of feel like we're missing, is that, you know, the younger generations. And I have been so impressed with you guys. And I think that the Livability Commission would be as well. And I think they would appreciate hearing your input on some of the, you know, the topics that we discuss. So just to kind of plant the seed for that, maybe for future discussion. But keep up the good work. You guys are doing amazing things.
And Janine is always bragging about you guys.
Yes.
Validate that. Yeah.
I would just want to, you guys are amazing and absolutely love everything you guys do. Biggest thing for us always as the council is we really want to make sure that you're supported and that you have the things you need. Is there anything you guys have that you find are a struggle or anything that we can do to help stand in the gap to help you? It's just perfect world. Of course it is. Well, if you guys think of anything, please make sure to come to us. We've got your back all day on anything that you're doing. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here tonight.
And it looks like you have a special thank you up there.
Shout out. Shout out to Miranda. She's our advisor. She does a lot for us. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you all so
Ladies and
much.
Let's give these young leaders our front. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love that group.
Mhm.
All right. That we only have that one presentation, so we're going to head into public participation and consent agenda. This section is set aside for the council to listen to any comments by the public regarding items that do not otherwise appear on this agenda or that are on consent agenda. Consent agenda items are items where all conditions or requirements have been agreed to or met prior to the time they come before council for the final action. These items will be approved by single motion of the council. And as a reminder, any member may pull any item off of the consent agenda for further discussion. As a reminder, we are here to hear from everyone who wishes to speak, and we want to make sure all voices are respected. To maintain a welcoming and productive environment, we ask that there is no clapping, cheering, booing, jeering, or sign holding. This helps ensure that everyone feels comfortable sharing their thoughts, even when opinions differ. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak, and I ask that you please introduce yourself with your full name and full address. While we won't be responding tonight, please know that we are definitely listening. And thank you for being here, engaging in the process, and for treating each others with respect. With that, I'd like to open up the floor. If anybody has anything that they would like to say about something that's on the consent agenda or that's not on the agenda. Any like?
Amanda Quigley, 1311 East Carolina Avenue. I live over in Cottonwoods. I hate public speaking. Defining protected waters can be complicated. I look to the defining resources for clarification. SACIT versus the Environmental Protection Agency 2023, which is also called SACIT 2 and not to be confused with SACIT versus the Environmental Protection Agency 2012. Justice Alito delivered the opinion. It said in part, this case concerns a nagging question about the outer reaches of the Clean Water Act, the principal federal law regulating water pollution in the United States. By all accounts, the act has been a great success. Before enactment in 1972, many of the nation's rivers, lakes, and streams were severely polluted, and existing federal legislation had proved to be inadequate. Today, many formerly fetid bodies of water are safe for the use and enjoyment of the people of this country. There is, however, an unfortunate footnote in the success story. The outer boundaries of the Act's geographical reach have been uncertain from the start. The Act applies to the waters of the United States, but what does that phrase mean? Does the term encompass any backyard that is soggy enough for some minimum period of time? Does it reach mud flats, sand flats, wet flats, sloughs, prairie, potholes, wet meadows, or playa lakes? What about ditches, swimming pools, puddles? For more than half a century, the agencies responsible for enforcing the act have wrestled with the problem and adopted varying interpretations. On 3 prior occasions, this court has tried to clarify the meaning of the waters of the United States, but the problem persists. When we last addressed the question 17 years ago, we were unable to agree on an opinion of the court. Today, we return to the problem and attempt to identify with greater clarity what the act means by the waters of the United States. The waters of the United States are defined by the Clean Water Act, which is 33 U.S.C. 1251. On October 29th, 2023, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency issued a final rule to amend the final revised definition of waters of the United States to conform with SACIT 2. So 33 U.S.C. 1344 expressly exempts the maintenance of drainage ditches from the Clean Water Act dredge and fill permitting requirements. It specifically exempts lands for the purpose of construction or maintenance of farm or stock ponds, irrigation ditches, or the maintenance of drainage ditches. The state of Colorado is also currently in the process of defining state waters. Under the current draft, it states an authorization is not required for the discharge of dredged or filled material into the following types of waters, and such a discharge is not otherwise prohibited or regulated under this section. All portions of ditches and canals that are excavated on the upland and convey water or wastewater. And that's Colorado Revised Statute 25.8.103.19. Just to finish my thought,
Thank you.
I would also like you to encourage you to read the EPA report 662-74-084. It's called The Evaluation of Drainage for Salinity in the Grand Valley. And it highlights the importance of the establishment of drainage ditches to decrease the salinity and save the farms of the Grand Valley. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak? Going once, going twice? All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close public participation and bring it back to council. Any discussion on any items on the consent?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to remove ordinance 2025-07 first reading from the consent agenda. The Fruita Tourism Advisory Council met this past week, and when appraised of this, would like the council to give it time to present their perspective on the leasing of that billboard. They have a different reason or a different idea for which should be discussed before we agree to this lease, renewing the lease with Family Health West.
Okay. Anybody have any concerns with that? And I don't know the last time we pulled something off consent agenda in terms of for a process. So we can pull that off a consent agenda, vote on everything else that's on consent, unless somebody else has something else that they would like to pull off. But then we'll go ahead and add the discussion item to the agenda. So we can discuss that in terms of next steps. And that would come right before the city manager's report, I'm assuming?
Yes, or at the end of the agenda.
Okay. Yeah,
After council, yeah.
all right. So we'll move it to after the administrative.
Sounds good.
All right. So we'll go ahead and pull that off for right now. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to discuss on the consent agenda?
Second?
First and a second?
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Downs,
Yes.
Counselor Miller, and Counselor Williams. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Deb. With that, we're going to go into our public hearing section. We have one item on this tonight, ordinance 2025-02, a second reading. A request to approve an ordinance amending chapter 10.04 of the Fruita Municipal Code regarding the model traffic code. And this is a continuance from our February 4th meeting of this year. And to present, City Manager Shannon Vossen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council for the opportunity to present. Shannon Vossen, City Manager for the City of Fruita. The ordinance before you is an amendment to our Colorado Municipal Code to bring our traffic laws and regulations up to date with what we are seeing currently statewide. I just put together a few very short slides to kind of summarize the changes between the 2024 model traffic code and what we're currently on the 2010, and maybe a few reasons why we'd like to upgrade or update our code to reflect kind of current standards. Just for the record, this is not the first time the council has seen the model traffic code update. We've actually discussed it pretty extensively over the past 6 months. Initially, this was part of an agenda item back in August for the workshop where we talked about a few municipal code amendments, and council directed staff to move forward with those. We had a first reading on December 17th, and then a second reading on January 21st. And at that point, there were a few concerns about some of the languages and a few of the additions that we decided to continue that to February 4th, where council saw it again, and then we decided once more to continue to March 4th, which is where we're at tonight. At our workshop last week, we briefly discussed a few of those concerns, and staff or council advised staff to make a few changes to the wording on 2 of the items, and those changes are before you tonight and ready to move forward as presented or as amended, which we can do during this item as well. So kind of first off, the model traffic code, what is it? It is a set of rules and regulations that allow our police department to enforce traffic issues throughout Fruita. Cities and counties can choose to adopt the model traffic code in full, with or without modifications or additions. So this is adopted by reference. So when you see that, there's generally the whole version, which CDOT provides, and we have a copy of at our police department, also here at the Civic Center as well. And then we will have other additions, which is the ones that you see as part of the ordinance, the additions and deletions. We're on the 2010 model traffic code, and we're recommending that we move forward with the most recent version, the 2024, because a lot has changed in the past 14, 15 years, especially when it comes to pedestrian and vehicular traffic. Just a little more information about the traffic code, again, making sure that the purpose is to make sure we're up to date on current standards. Laws are kind of uniform everywhere you go, the same laws that apply in Grand Junction are the same laws that apply in Fruita and Palisades, so there's consistency. And also it's the most recent kind of safety standards to bring ourselves up to date. So there have been several changes since 2010. There are a lot of new vehicles, probably more vehicles than ever on the road. I'm not just thinking about traditional vehicles, but also anything that kind of has wheels. We've seen rise of electric scooters, electric bikes, autocycles, which are those kind of 3/4 size cars with the one wheel up front. It's a combination of the motorcycle and the vehicle. All electric skateboards, all sorts of different kind of new types of transportation. So with the 2024 code, we're actually able to recognize those new types of transportation, those alternative modes, and also make sure that people who are using e-bikes, they're using electric scooters, they're using kind of those not just vehicles, that they can be held to the same standards as people driving a car or truck. Also, passing snowplows has changed since 2010. New regulations regarding when you can pass snowplows is mostly, on interstates and whatnot, but there are some new language there. The move over law was expanded. So previously, if someone had or there was an emergency vehicle, first or people driving are required to move over to the left if it's on the shoulder and move over to the right. Now, if you see a vehicle broken down or have flashers on, everyone has to move over theoretically to the left as a measure of safety. There's also new automated vehicle identification systems, which we don't use here in Fruita, but if we ever needed to, for some reason, if people stop using the one stoplight or two stoplights we have, we could put some cameras on. Certainly hope that's not the case. And it also expands and creates the definition of vulnerable road users. So not just pedestrians, not just cyclists, but other types of transportation that have the same protections as those pedestrians, those cyclists, et cetera. So at workshop last week, we discussed the two sections that were causing a little heartburn over the past couple months. So we attempted to address those. Section 801 refers to pedestrian behavior and when a Fruita police officer can engage in potentially stopping behaviors that may be considered a hazard. We cleaned that up for clarity. Now it just says what could be constituted a hazard, not what reasonably could or could reasonably be a hazard. So there's some cleanup in there. And again, the purpose of this is to really only enforce if necessary. So this isn't, if children are playing field hockey, they're playing basketball on their streets. This is most likely if you have like someone doing an ultra marathon on Aspen Street without permits and they're blocking the road. We want to make sure we have the tools to make sure that they can be removed from that activity. Finally, there was concern about people's ability to wash their vehicles on the side of the road, so we removed that, and now it is just prohibited to grease, paint, anything that could potentially contaminate the stormwater drains. On the side of the road, but that can still be done in emergency situations, can also be done in someone's driveway if they have one. So there are a few reasons why we'd want to move to the 2024 Model Traffic Code. Again, kind of dealing with technology, a lot has changed over the past 14 years. Uniformity is also important. Right now we're on 14-year-old regulations, and there's actually a lot of things that we can't enforce. I don't want to speak to those publicly because then they wouldn't be able to enforce them, but there are actually quite a few things that we're not able to enforce because we're on an older model traffic code. Finally, it helps ensure safety so that everyone has to follow the same rules, and those rules are well understood, and of course brings us kind of up to date with the most recent legal compliance and guidance issued by the state and experts in the field. So the staff recommendation is to move forward with adopting the municipal code amendment as presented, but I will be happy to answer any questions after public comment. We also have our Chief of Police, Dave Kraus, available to answer any questions as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Shannon. With that, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Is there anybody that would like to speak on ordinance 2025-02? All right. Seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to council.
I mean, it sounds like the officers and Chief Kraus were on board with these changes. That was one of our concerns.
Yes. I don't want to speak on behalf of anyone, but yes. Yeah.
Yeah. For the record, please let it be noted that Chief Kraus gave a thumbs up. All right. No further, then we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance 2025-02, an ordinance amending chapter 10.04 of the Fruita Municipal Code regarding the 2024 Model Traffic Code as presented.
Second.
All right, first and a second. Once again, anybody else have any questions or comments before we poll council? All right, hearing none. Deb?
Counselor Parrish,
Yes.
Counselor Downs, Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Purser. Motion passes 5-0.
Great, thank you. So that takes us to our administrative agenda. So first item on that is community survey, the final review for the discussion of the 2025 survey. Shannon.
Thank you
You're up
again.
again.
Yeah, thank you again, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I don't have a formal presentation on this, so I'll probably just do it over here from the staff table, if that's okay. This is the agenda item before you is meant to be a final review of the community survey, which will be sent out to all households in Fruita probably as early as next week if we get this finalized. This helps our decision making, helps with our strategic planning, annual budget creation, operational plans, et cetera, for the next 3 to 4 years, and is a very important thing that we do. So this was sent out to council last week, but also included as part of the packet. I received comments from Councillor Hansley, Councillor Purser, and Councillor Bremen, and we were able to incorporate all of those changes, or Mayor Bremen, my apologies. And we were able to incorporate all of those changes in the community survey. But there was just kind of 2 questions we had left outstanding. And one of those was clarification on one of the tourism related questions. And the second was if you wanted to add questions regarding growth. So before I go on any further, I did want to stop there and let council add anything else to the survey that may have not been emailed to me ahead of time,
There,
if anything.
there was one thing I just need to find it real quick. On number 10, with the belonging and representation, or sorry that I
Yeah.
did before. On number 1, instead of when it says that Fruita is a place that is open and welcoming to people of all races, backgrounds, can we put where racist beliefs are not tolerated instead of and? Because when you just start reading it, this is what it isn't. It doesn't read quite right.
Sure.
I'm
Yes.
curious if we can put where racist beliefs are tolerated.
Yeah, that can be updated. And we also changed for the rest of the questions in this section, we changed to fairly as well. It's not reflected in this draft, but I did get comments on that.
That's
Yeah.
I just happened the and kind of as you're reading it makes it sound like that's something that we do instead of
Right.
don't.
Thank you.
We want to jump to question 22 for clarification on that.
Yeah, this is one where we just need some additional clarification. So when we were talking about this in workshop, we talked about how Fruita's pretty well known for mountain biking, and the question came up: what do people think Fruita should be known for? What do they already like to do in Fruita? So we just wanted to make sure we had this question right, because it reads: Fruita has been known for its mountain biking opportunities. What else do you think Fruita is known for? And there's been a request to slightly change that to: what do you think Fruita should be known for? So kind of current versus future. Yeah.
I'm down with that.
You agree with what it should be known for, correct?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and then the line, is there going to be more than one line for them to write an answer there?
We can request that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like 2 or 3, just to give them a little bit of room.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that sounds good. And then the final question was if we wanted to add anything specifically about growth.
That was my question. I'll just own it.
How would you word that?
Yeah, like
What would that look like?
Yeah, we have a few examples. I emailed our consultant. He didn't get back to me yet on this, but the few examples that Councillor Purser brought up is: do you think that the current growth is in alignment with the city's values? So that's one of them. And then you had a second one as well. I don't know if you want.
Maybe
Yeah.
something about annexation on
Yeah.
skirts. So something that captures a real truth. I anticipate with the open-ended question, what do you think is the biggest concern, that people will say
Right.
growth, but that doesn't actually give us any insight to how the citizens of Fruita want us to address that. And I feel like some version of a question that actually gives us more direction about what the hope is in regards to growth.
Yeah.
So would it be more about as Fruita, and I know this is a leading question, but as Fruita continues to grow, how would you like to see it? But the point I'm trying to get at is we start off the question, it's not a question, how would you like to? I want to make sure the question is phrased as we are going to grow. So how would you like to see that? Like,
I do
growth
think that
from-
that's a leading question, and I'm not sure it reflects the values of a large portion of our community. So I think we need to be mindful of what our community think. I want to know what our community thinks. If that's what they think, I'd love to know that. And if it's not what they think, I'd also love to know that.
I just don't know how to get like, how do you make that a definitive? Like,
Would you like us to
Like-
put gates at the off ramps?
I mean, that's not what I've, and I don't want to put us in a difficult position as council, but I also think it's important to really understand we're up here representing the community. So I think it's really important to understand when we know that growth is a huge issue. I think it's very important to also understand what the hopes are from our community in that way.
but what kind of hopes? What do you mean? Like, are you talking housing types? Are you talking like?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I think
Boundaries?
we
Are
need to-
we, I think that's the part where it's hard to shape the question, like
Yeah.
what,
Well, it
that's
may-
really broad.
It may need to have like all these other sections do, like have a few numbers underneath them, you know, I don't know. But I think we are missing an opportunity of a huge issue if we don't address it in some more specific way.
And we do have a few questions on housing. There are a few regarding, how much housing, do you feel like there's affordable housing or attainable housing, but also do you feel like there's enough diversity in housing as well? I can pull up the exact question, but so,
That's still like slightly
yeah,
different.
yeah.
My concern is I don't want to give the illusion, I mean, we're going to grow. I mean, we are going to grow, and I don't think there's ways to really stop growth. Are you trying to get at like how to balance the growth? I'm trying to like, what are you?
I'm trying to get a hold to capture, and obviously people who take this survey is not, it's hard to get a good feel about a majority of our citizens, but this is as close as we have. And so I just want to, I hear what you're saying, that we are going to grow there. And I am not, again, this is not my personal, just so you know.
I
but-
understand the concern. I hear what you're
yeah,
saying,
I
but
just-
it's a really broad.
No, I understand, but I don't want to go actually down the path of saying, I don't want to speak for the citizens to say we are going to, I mean, yeah, that likely we're going to grow, but I don't want to just flatly say there are actually things that could be done to not go farther than we have already gone in growth. There, if that is what,
What are those things?
well, I mean, there's a
Something like
moratorium,
that to
there's,
Get us towards a question.
I mean, I don't know if yeah, okay. Well, like Palisade has a moratorium. I don't know if they still do, but they did for a while. They stopped, they put a moratorium on.
And the only reason I said it that way is because that's in a form of a.
Sure,
question.
no, yeah, that's,
That gets
yeah, I
us
get,
somewhere,
yeah.
you know?
I'm just saying that it's not impossible if that's,
Be in favor of a moratorium or something. You see what I'm saying?
yes.
I think that's
I
all
understand
kind of
what
what
you're
we're trying to get to where, how do we word it?
And
I'm not saying that I want to.
me either. I, yeah.
We're trying to figure, no, I'm just trying to figure out a wording of how we could incorporate your question, because it's right, it's a very broad.
Oh, I
So
agree. I know. I
Try
just,
to figure
I
out how to
agree.
word it if we're gonna include it.
Yeah.
We could ask about perceptions too of maybe the rate of growth, which could be helpful. Like, do you feel the community is growing, or how fast do you think the community go? Or so here's an example. How would you describe the overall growth of your community? Rapid, moderate, slow, stagnant? So that could give us perceptions how people really feel fruit is growing, because it always seems like we're growing a lot, but we've always said, 1 to 2% over the last several years. But there's more and more that could potentially change that number coming up. And then we could ask a follow-up, which you'll see in the survey, there's usually a lot like, how would you describe, and then what's your perception on that? Like, is it positive, negative, neutral? I don't know, et cetera. Yeah.
That would be it. Yeah, those are good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially like the idea of like, is your vision positive, negative, like that's too.
Yeah. I do like the values, and we'd probably ask ETC how they incorporate that in there, because we do have our community values identified in our comprehensive plan, all of that. So do you think it's consistent with the community values could be another question. So it could be 2 to 3. Yeah.
Does it get you where you want to go?
I mean, this is an us discussion. Yeah.
As Fruita is a desirable place to live, how would you like to balance the needs of the community with, I'm just trying to not preemptive of, as we continue to grow, but we are a desirable place where people want to live. Like, how do we balance that desire for people to live here with the needs of the community?
On the parameters of being able to use the rubric that they have of this number system though, for it to calculate in. So the way Shannon described it, that's probably about the only way we're gonna be able to do it. Cause it has to be able to have the numerical values so that they can get, right? Is that kind of?
Yeah, they can. There's open-ended, and the third question could be just an open-ended if people want to leave comments on growth in general. Yeah.
It's just gonna say 15 million, get a bigger city market.
That does come up a lot. Yes.
Saying, and then have that comment at the end.
Yeah.
Does that work for you as opposed to we're going to continue to grow? Because that's an assumption.
Right.
To your
Yeah.
point.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the realization we're a desired place for people to live.
Yeah.
And how do we balance that with our current?
Yeah. That might be the good, like, open
Balance.
question.
Yeah.
I think those other ones where you can actually quantify is
Could you also say,
more helpful to
Yeah.
us when we're making decisions, I think.
also say instead of using the grow word to keep away from that, you could say as we move forward as a city?
Incorporate change. Because we don't want to stay stagnant. I don't believe anyone wants us as a community to stay stagnant. So instead of growth, maybe we're talking about change. I don't know if that's what.
I think move forward seems, at least for me, that seems a little more positive and it kind of hits the growth thing, but it also would hit change as well, but it's also a still growing scenario. I don't know.
I agree with.
Does that give you enough?
It does. Yeah, we can get with the consultant and send maybe a final draft if anyone has any final comments. I think we're super close. You've probably also noticed it's been shortened quite a bit, and this is to encourage participation.
Sure.
We still get several responses. I think we had almost it was between 600 and 800 last time we did the survey, but it's actually went down over the past 10 years or 12 years, which I think is really interesting. So we shortened it quite a bit. We removed questions that didn't get a lot of response, and hopefully that'll just kind of help overall with the response rate. But we'll send a final draft to council soon, and then once that's good, we can get it sent out. We'll still be on the timeline to have it presented probably May, June-ish. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do have one more that we.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Missed when I emailed you, which is we had talked about maybe the idea of being able to capture all ages of the people in the household that you're filling.
Oh, yeah. The demographic. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not on there. Is that, does everybody feel like that's okay? Like, I think it's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do the age range thing.
Ask what is your age, but it doesn't talk about like.
What else do you have in
One
the home?
person of the household can answer this. It would be nice to have. Absolutely.
Right.
The responses are anonymous.
They are, yeah. It's broken out by census tract. So those, I mean, but even then they change the responses to where it's not the exact location. But that way we can kind of tell like where some of the specific concerns are. Like if downtown Fruita has an issue with sidewalks, then we know we need to focus our sidewalk attentions on downtown Fruita. So it's mostly census tracts, but yeah, absolutely anonymous. Yeah.
Unless they volunteer to be focused.
Yeah, but that information is never shared at all. It's not even shared with staff. The follow-up, so people can at the very end, yeah, they can decide to participate in focus groups if they're interested. Those can be facilitated through ETC, but we've never requested that as part of that, but it's always an option too.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, the results completely anonymous. And even if they decide to participate in a focus group, the results of their survey would still be anonymous. They would just be able to participate.
Can you said we've never asked them for that. We put this question on there and then we've never said, oh, hey.
We've never done any focus groups with the information, the people that provide that. Yeah.
I would either take that off.
Sure.
We don't intend to actually reach out to people who
Yeah.
want to be part of that, or if we, or leave it on there and actually make use of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And we definitely could. Yeah.
That if there's not like a huge concern, it's great to have that option. And then if there's not like any huge things, it's like, okay, well, we need a focus.
Or but maybe like, if that's the case, then some reach out to those people because they may be thinking, how am I going to get to participate and be part of some,
Yeah.
you know, commitment to the city in helpful way, and then never hear back or something. And then,
Right.
oh, I don't want them to feel dismissed, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And the option that, as Councilor Miller was saying, having the option is great. Like if there is something like maybe we didn't understand everything we wanted to, let's, have a focus group, 5-10 people. Could always be helpful.
If ETC, just an idea, if our participation has gone down, is there any value of saying at random, 10 people will be given, a day pass or a pair of day passes to the rec center? Is that something like, because we don't have who sends it in, but is that something ETC could potentially help facilitate? I'm just trying to think of ways to get people to participate.
Yeah, they are doing the $500 gift card as part of it. So hopefully that will help. But we could, just on our own, like if people participate in the survey, we could just take their word from it and give them a day pass to the community center.
$100 is good.
Yeah, in the past, we do there's a link on the website. We do an email to all the emails in town we have. Is that correct as well?
No, this one gets a very specific link for them only, the household only. So it only ensures one response.
Well, I mean, to
Yeah.
encourage people to get involved, how do we get the information to them? Do we do a mailer? We do.
Yep. We do a mailer. It's in the city link. It'll be in the city link, which hits homes either this week or next. Survey's coming. Please be on the lookout for it. Please participate. But yeah, it all comes via mail. And they can also order replacements if they do lose it. But each individual survey is unique to the address.
Because didn't we have a link or something where you could do it online?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do we encourage people to go find that and get it though?
It comes in their mailer.
And that's it. That's the
Yep.
only way.
Yeah.
'Cause it just seems to me like that might be an antiquated way of
Yeah.
finding people to.
Yeah.
Social media.
Yeah, we can push the heck out of
Make
it.
Yeah.
Don't
Okay.
like.
And they can get their link from ETC as well.
Yeah, maybe I think you might be onto something with the social media push.
Yeah.
Maybe
For sure.
where maybe we have Eamon do something,
Yeah.
just something, because it would be nice to have a higher involvement. Yeah, and
Yeah.
if we're going through the same way that we've done it before and we've watched the involvement
Yeah.
go down, it's not going to magically turn around unless we do something proactively on our end.
Yeah, absolutely. Consultant thinks the length of the survey will definitely help because survey fatigue does happen. I think we used all the length last time. You'll see this is actually a full page shorter, which I think will be helpful. We have the gift card. Also 2021, odd time for surveys. I think there was even a time when people were disinfecting their mail due to the pandemic and everything else. So hopefully it'll change, but I suppose you never know until you see kind of the final numbers. But yeah, we'll put out a lot on social media and the other channels we use as well.
Right.
Other comments?
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for kind of wrangling that. It's a lot of different feedback to incorporate. So thank you. With that, we have one other item, which is our overview of our upcoming building code adoption. And Dan Karras, our Community Development Director, is going to be presenting. And I will say that was a lot to try to read and get nuances of.
Made sure that the print was incredibly small. But anyways, Dan Karras, Planning Director for the City of Fruita. And then with me, we've got Mike Mossberg, who's our building official. I think that we wanted to do an administrative update prior to kind of going through the exact same process that we had before, which with the model traffic code, where we're adopting codes by reference. I think that for this particular endeavor, there's a lot of like industry preparedness that we're trying to make sure that the Home Builders Association, Contractors Association is well aware of the changes that are coming down the pike. I don't remember if everyone was on council when we updated the 2018 Energy Conservation Code, but it was a pretty big endeavor. It was a shock to the system for a lot of contractors. And so we wanted to, curtail any of those concerns that council might have kind of stress some of the nuances with the codes that are going to be updated, and then somewhat bifurcate from like city codes relative to ones that were mandated by the state to update. So just with that, why do we have building codes? Obviously, safety is a big stressor. Mike always tells me this, like these are a set of minimum standards. They're not a set of maximums. And so that's very much what we're trying to achieve with new buildings. And then obviously with remodels. Quick kind of go back with just sort of the calendar and order of operations. This is a little different than back in 2019 where we were adopting our building codes and then Mesa County was enforcing them. We actually worked with their advisory committee, which is a set of builders and contractors and developers, to try to come up with some bit of a united front with regards to the codes that we were going to propose to update. And Mike can speak a little bit more to the nuance, but Mesa County did pass ordinance 008D, which was done February 25th and is not effective until September of 2025. So we are trying to hit a deadline. Obviously, you just saw, adopting codes by reference does take some time. So that's why we're here, just trying to prepare the council for what's coming next. But I'll let Mike go into the details of some of the changes from the codes and take it from here.
Good evening, council. Thanks for taking time to listen to this pretty boring stuff. It's boring to us. It's not like the actual codes. This is all this administrative side, getting the right thing in place and make it useful for all the public. Has anyone had questions after looking at that boring packet of information by chance? Yeah.
I had a lot of questions at the time, but a lot of it is just not having a reference. A little bit, honestly, like a fish out of water. It's not a word that
That's understandable.
I live in, and so it was more of a frustration of not knowing what I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot to throw at you at one time, and for you to just be an expert in it, you don't want to be. So the codes are generated by the International Code Council, a national group, and they're kind of generated like one size fits all. So we need to modify them to our local conditions, of course. That's why we make amendments to it. Part of that too is we only do this, the good news is, every 6 years. So you won't see us back in here asking for this anytime soon. A lot of changes were driven by cleaning up the code to some degree, like swimming pools, the freestanding swimming pools, code says 24-inch depth, and then you got to get permits. What's kind of ridiculous, try to enforce something like that. So we just like 180 days or whatever. It's not something we as in the code side and concerned about buildings. It's not, people are not having trouble with like those freestanding pools. So we don't want to be out there trying to enforce something that's very impractical for the public. There's other things along that line that were really generally in the codes without taking a lot of your time getting into the details. That's what we're trying to do, is make it more palatable for the builders, the public, the homeowners, whoever may be involved in a project, that it's not ridiculous burdens in some way. And then we, as in our own level as a building official and staff, like Jennifer Wooten is here with me this evening, can make our own decisions. The codes are not really always just black and white. There's some elements of the codes that are, that are scientific based, but a lot of it's just making a good decision, applying it to each condition, and that's what we're trying to do with this code adoption, is make it, something that's, more Western Slope oriented, not just, like a big city. That's not something that we have to deal with. We do struggle with, like, the 18 energy code was mandated by the state, and then they have something they're generating as code of their own, that's coming down the road in January 26. So in this code, you've seen a lot of the 24 family of codes that we're adopting. The energy code, we're going to go with the 21, and then we've actually modified it itself just so we're kind of stay happy with the state, that they're not gonna try to make us update that anytime soon. That's the goal of this, that we can keep this for 6 years. And it's something that should work better for the building public and for, like, say, homeowners. That's the gist of it. It's short and sweet, you know. But we'll have to make a few changes to this, and then you'll get, you know, that later, the packet later will be refined some of this language. There, we did touch on some fee adjustments that are like a $35 fee. That's a real common fee for a lot of things, reactivation, minimal fees. We would like to go to $50 for that. Some of the like that are $45 go to $60. Manufactured homes from 100 to 150. So hopefully that's something that we can work with. You guys are okay with?
So have you received input from builders, developers in making those changes? I mean, where do they play in all of this, all these changes?
So I've attended with Mesa County, their builder advisory board and other staff, and builders participate with that. And we have went over all of these details with them. The fees don't affect the builders as much, that side of it. You know, we're not changing the full building permit fee schedule or evaluation tables at this time. We're not asking for that. This is minor change, but they've been part of the process of this. And
So the changes you're making are consistent with what's happening with Mesa County? Is that what you're saying?
yes,
But we still, I want to make sure I understand it. If something doesn't, if Mesa County says, well, this is what we're doing, we still have the opportunity to still continue to tweak that for Fruita.
exactly. So that's one of the changes. We're going to do a few things there that are really more, you know, an improvement for Fruita that really is unique to their situation with the city of Grand Junction. It's not the county that they have their struggles. It's more in the city limits of Grand Junction and state through code enforcement.
So as you make those presentations to us, will you make sure that you highlight those differences between Mesa County and what you're saying Fruita is the exception, or you're making a difference?
Yeah, it's
for
one example that the building code just asks that there's building permits. So, so we've been, when it works out, when it makes sense, somebody's building a house and an ADU, two separate structures, we just issue one permit. It's pretty simple to do that. Mesa County wants one for each building. The code doesn't really say, and they're wanting to modify their code that they want a separate permit for each item on the site. We're not going to go that way. We're going to leave the code alone on that. So then we have discretion to use the code as a tool to make it more effective for the public to you know, if it works better for them, we'll give them that option with or without.
And I think for me anyway, that if you will highlight those differences
Okay.
for this council would help me
Sure.
better understand.
Sure. We'll be glad to do that. They have another condition where they're like with townhomes, which we don't see a lot of them. The Muse kind of was townhomes where there's a 2-hour wall between structures, single families set right together. And they're wanting to make some modifications of that because part of this code adoption, the code asks for automatic fire sprinklers in single family homes. We've amended it out. Mesa County's amended it out. They're wanting to place some of that back into those townhome provisions. And I'm not sure we want to do that. Not that we're going to have those conditions too many times, like more than 5 units together, but those are the kind of things we want to refine that are better for us.
Rich, anything else at the moment?
Not at the moment.
Appreciate the questions and taking time to look at it.
Are there, as this moves forward, will there be opportunities for local builders to provide input? I know you talked about from the Mesa County level, and that group has. Is there a methodology for our local builders
Yeah, a lot of the same builders are the ones that are in there, yeah, and we'll get this together and we'll reach out to like the Home Builders Association and maybe have a meet greet with them, go over some of this, but they've already heard it, what Mesa County's doing, and if anything, we're gonna be a little bit less restrictive on some items that we don't need to have in place in Fruita's code.
Anybody else?
I did, you had mentioned the fees, changing the fees just a little bit, Mike. That, not that it's in a massive amount, but I think it'd just kind of be nice just to talk through it just a little bit. So you said that like for the modulars, it was going from 100 to 150, that particular, for instance. Is that 100, was that what it was at 2000, in the 2019? So when we hit the 150, are we kind of being kind of where, so we're falling in line with what we're seeing at the county, at state, and the is that kind of the same growth rate?
Yes, we're being lined with that part. We're pretty much following what they're doing, supporting them.
And that's what I figured. I just wanted to have that clarity because, you know, people always get all fee freaky and you're just tacking fees on. Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you.
I was going to say, there's been quite a bit of noise in the public about the raise in fees for the city of Grand Junction. I would prefer not to have the same kind of noise about that.
That's a big difference.
The impact fees. And I just want to make, are we talking about the same kinds of things, or?
No, those are impact fees, like,
which are different.
and this is building permit fees. We're
Okay.
talking about part of that, and we're talking very minimal amounts at this time.
Okay.
Just to kind of keep up.
I appreciate the heck out of that concern though. Thank you.
No, that's real. And it seems like how you were saying that if someone wants to do an ADU on their property, allowing them to work under that same permit is also going to save them that.
It does say
Yeah, so
because each permit has a base
exactly.
fee structure, so you create that. So that's definitely a savings to the public.
Great. I think that's a really positive way to go forward with that.
I do appreciate the fact you're like, yeah, that may work for the county, but things like, you know, if you're building two structures at the same time, we don't need to do.
No.
So I appreciate kind of that, looking at, you know, what works for us.
Common
Thank you.
sense Fruita approach.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for not just rubber stamping and following along, because we always want to do what's best for Fruita
Yeah, we're
before.
part of the
Yeah,
process.
Great.
But still, we need to make our own best decisions.
Exactly. Appreciate that for sure.
Anything else?
So just a kind of a procedural thing, like if we were to ever change the actual fees themselves, we would have to have a separate resolution. It's not going to be baked in this ordinance. Appreciate the fact that, like, you know, don't want to just like do that without a public process. So I think that's kind of, this is part one. There's part two, which are the fees. Also, hear you loud and clear, Councilmember Parrish, that a breakdown of what are the changes from the 18 codes to the 24 codes and how that relates to what Mesa County is doing. We'll put that in the presentation for the first reading, so you get a sneak peek. You have any questions for us, we'll answer them then, and that way we can hopefully like stick to this schedule and try to hit that September timeline.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, with that, we are going to jump back to make sure I get the right ordinance, conversation about ordinance 2025-07, which was about the long-term lease for the billboard located adjacent to I-70. So just to reiterate,
The Tourism Council indicated, because I'm not privy to what's gone on before I became a part of it, that they have wanted to have access or control of that billboard for some time now. But because it was under lease to Family Health West, because they see it as a tool in promoting tourism to our community. It's so visible as you come into the city that they feel like it could be better utilized for Fruita rather than just a private entity. And so they would like to make a presentation to the council because, yes, it is a source of revenue for the city. And they're looking at alternative ways of funding or replacing that source of funding, whether it be through sponsorships or other things, but they feel that it's important to utilize that billboard for the benefit of the city, the community of Fruita, rather than just one entity.
Shannon,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I want to jump on it right away because I thought when I was on tourism board, we had talked about this before and I don't remember all the nuances, but I know you do. That's
Right,
why I kind of
right.
just jumped in because Shannon can definitely speak to this.
Right.
Wasn't there an agreement with Family Health West that it was going to be used for tourism type that? You know what I'm going with it.
Yeah, this is a difficult billboard because the benefit it's on I-70, but one of the challenges that comes with that is that you have to work with CDOT for a lot of things. So we've made a lot of improvements to the billboard over the last 4 or 5 years. You've probably seen it looks much better. We replaced the wood, added new lights, stuff like that, but we were only allowed to make certain improvements at certain times because we couldn't improve more than 49% of the billboard at one time under our existing permit. That's the level of detail you want to know.
Sure.
So the old billboard used to have banners on the bottom that advertise special events. So back in 2020, we actually included in the budget the purchase of an electronic sign to be placed on the bottom of the billboard to where it can be changed by staff, but it can say, hey, farmers market downtown Fruita this Saturday or Thursday night concerts tonight, et cetera. We can still do that. It was pulled from 2020 because right when the pandemic hit, we kind of put all of our funds into contingency accounts because we didn't know what the economic impact would be. And then it hasn't been revisited since. But under our current permit, we can do that. And then the bottom could do that. And then the rest could be whether it's the tourism board or Family Health West or someone else, not Moab, someone else could use it. The first reading is before you because no decisions are made on first readings. The first reading is just to publish the public hearing. So we wanted to bring this forward. And then if the FTAC wanted to present or give staff or Councilor Parrish a statement to present, we could do that. We're also hoping we could do the same from Family Health West, give them an opportunity. So that's why we put it on first reading to be held for a public hearing.
Is there a time pressure to sign this, or if it
It
drags out for a couple, for 2 months or so? I just
The-
want to make sure we don't
the current
default on.
the current lease expires March 31st. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Moving this doesn't negate the opportunity
No.
to present or Family Health West. That
Yeah. And
opportunity,
we'd probably like to hear.
But if
Right, and I would like to
Yeah.
hear from both.
Yeah.
which they could do at that time. But
Yes. And that was the intent. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I would just, if we sign before, then we're tied again once the,
This doesn't-
it will.
We're not.
Oh,
signing
yeah.
this.
okay.
No, this is just
Yeah.
like to get it the ball rolling to be able to hear the presentation.
Yeah. Public hearing on the 18th. Yeah. And the FTAC is meeting next week. It is a special meeting. So they will be able to discuss. We were hoping to hear back from Family Health West as well. I'm hoping there's a win-win there for everyone, but we'll keep on looking.
Sense to this on the next workshop, so both
Yes.
entities can kind of come and present, and then we can discuss.
Well, and also can you revisit what that sign looks like too and bring that to the workshop so that we can incorporate that in the conversation?
Yeah, I think we could do that on the 18th, and that's why the staff recommendation is to have it on the 18th.
That's not a workshop. That
No,
is
just a regular meeting.
regular public hearing where we would
Yeah.
just hear all of it. If we at
Yeah.
that point feel like we're not ready to make a decision still, then we could continue that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine.
As a betting person, we're going to move it to workshop.
Yeah.
Knowing us, so I'm like.
I would
I'd
rather
get
rather
on a
just go
workshop.
to a workshop instead of make it hold up a whole meeting for as long as it would. That would just be my,
Okay. I think we could make a decision myself after hearing, like talk it through. Say they're gonna meet maybe together before they come to us.
I think we're going to have additional questions, and
Okay.
Do we have space on the next workshop?
The next workshop is pretty full. We have a few things. So the middle school is probably a pretty lengthy discussion. We also have the short-term rental revision as well. Let me just pull up my link real
What
quick.
was that, James? You want to do another one? I'm sorry, what? I didn't
Add
hear
an
that.
additional workshop?
Is that what you just said, James?
No, that was definitely not what James said.
We do have that additional workshop this month, but that is for the tour of the middle school. So that is taken. Let me just see. We have in follow-up on the concealed carry and then emergency operations plan overview, which was requested in November, but we've bumped due to the content of the prior workshops.
I'm okay if we push conceal carry back and swap out for this.
Yeah, this feels more urgent.
This is definitely more urgent than that. I thought we already had the concealed thing figured out.
We had to hear back from legally. what we
Oh,
can.
yeah, I think then
Yeah.
that's, we could take off.
Yes.
What if we still brought it on the 18th and then if we couldn't decide, then go ahead? I mean, like save a spot, but can we still, like, I'm just saying, what if we can do it?
Have Family Health West and FTech both address on the 18th is what you're saying?
On a regular
So
meeting.
they're gonna both present their
already-
case and then we have to sit here and go, well, then pick and choose. And
Doesn't have to be.
yeah, it's gonna be a little, well, that's kind of what we're getting at. We're trying to get to a solution. We're gonna get to an end.
But then it will have a workshop and we'll discuss, and then it will have to come back to a regular meeting to make a
But I-
decision.
I'm with James on this. It feels like during a workshop, we can ask questions and kind of go back and forth. And then if we're looking for, are there areas to compromise or work together? It just feels like.
We're all in the room talking at the same time. We
Feels
can
like a
find
more
the
natural
compromise.
workflow.
I feel like we're capable of doing it, but okay, whatever you all think. I just don't see the downside to trying and then
would agree with
and then putting it on if we can't.
Okay, workshop try.
Workshop.
Shop.
Okay.
Did not get those
So
votes.
that
Is that
was an
for?
Official polling council. All right, so let's push
We
back.
know Aaron would vote for counselor
Yes.
for workshop too.
So if we can swap, push the conceal carry back.
Yeah.
So
We don't
next
have
space
to
for
have a
this.
final decision on that, right? We're waiting on an answer.
No, we're not. There's no time pressure on that one.
Okay.
No. And I didn't know if Family Health West would actually make a statement as well. We were just going to provide them with the opportunity if they did want to prepare something ahead of time, kind of in writing. We were a little surprised that they decided because Eric Mello, who's the director of their engagement team, he wasn't the biggest fan of billboards, and I think there are plenty of FTAC minutes to reflect that in the past, but they did opt to at least try to renew, and that's why it was brought before you. But
I think we can
No.
also incorporate the conversation of the grain silos and all of that. I think it's part of what we want the entrance, both east and west to kind of look.
Anything but a big Moab one right here on our would be nice
Yeah.
to not have.
Just so you're aware, Barnhart will be making a presentation on the 12th, is it? Yeah, I believe
Next
on the
week, yep.
12th. To the advisory council on their program. They made a presentation with 4 concept ideas. The council decided on the one that they liked the best. And so they're going to
Which one did
present.
you guys go with?
I'm gonna leave that.
Wabs. Wait and be surprised.
Well, I know what the 4 are. I'm just curious which one they went with.
How
We're
do
gonna
you,
bring it
how do
to
you
I
know?
don't know. I have no birds. I have little birdies.
All right.
Which one do you think they?
I know which one I hope. We're getting off.
Okay, guys, not dragging that one.
So, but, the talk of the silo and the billboard may be part of their presentation as to what they're going to do. So it may all fit together better as to what is the best use of that billboard. So,
Okay,
That's
Wonderful.
next week, yeah.
I like
all right. You're good?
Yeah.
All right. So we don't have to, there's no official action needed on that. So which now is going to move us into the city manager's report.
Yeah, just a lot of events to kind of highlight over the next several weeks and next month. So this Thursday, 5:30 p.m. in this room, we'll have the open house on the Asteria recycling plant. So this is just something that we are hosting as a city for people who are interested in. It's also going to be hosted virtually as well. So 5:30, the link is on our website, but free and open to the public. It's an opportunity for the applicant of that recycling plant to give a presentation, but also answer questions from residents and people interested as well. Yeah.
So, full of council, if you choose to, I mean, there's no.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It's posted just in case we have more than two, which we're required by open meetings law to do so. And then there is a site visit on Saturday. If the people are interested in attending that, they can actually go on site and see it. Pickleball ribbon cutting next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Take on the mayor. How's practice going?
I'm embarrassed to say I had my first pickleball lesson and I'm sore.
Yeah. There may be some informal bets around. No, I'm kidding. Just don't play Kimberly. She's way too serious. So next Tuesday at the community center.
We learned that when we went bowling.
At 4:30, Councilor Parrish and I will be hiking Dinosaur Hill next Wednesday at 5 as part of our community engagement event. So really looking forward to that. Hopefully the weather holds out. It looks like a little bit of rain right now, but hopefully we get to do that because that'll be a great event.
Nice.
2 weeks from tonight, we do have our tour of the old Fruita Middle School at 5:30 right before our regular meeting. So that'll give the opportunity for council and a few members of our leadership team to go inside and see the old Fruita Middle School. Then we can continue that conversation at the workshop shortly after that. So it'll be kind of fresh on our minds, and then we'll be able to continue that conversation. Final event, we do have a joint town hall with the Board of County Commissioners here April 15th next month. So our second meeting will be a joint town hall with the three of them. And then, yep.
Mayor was a little surprised that it was expected that Fruita present at that.
Oh, interesting. We usually cancel the meeting and they just have the entire meeting to themselves, but we can get some clarification on their expectations. Yeah.
Joel was a little
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah.
You don't want to be surprised?
I prefer not to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I may have been the only staff there. Did I end up giving the presentation? I can't remember.
No, but you backed up Joel.
Oh, good. Good. Great. I can do that as well if I'm the only staff there.
Would like from
Yeah.
council would be great.
Yeah.
It's our regular, our normal meeting time, right?
In place of our regular meeting. Yep.
Yeah, and if we can really hone in on staying on topic with Fruita.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Finally, at our next meeting, on March 18th, we will have a supplemental budget amendment coming before the city council. This is a common one as we have to roll over a lot of funds from the prior year on projects that were not finished, but there are a few new appropriations as well. The block party trailer is included in there, and then we have a few small minor appropriations such as appropriating funds out of the scholarship program for Parks and Rec, new programming, et cetera. So that's coming March 18th. So you'll see a long list of appropriations, but we will break them out kind of by expense in the cover sheet and in the resolution. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Shannon. All right, I'm going to bring that back to council. We have one action item on this one. A resolution approving the mayor to send a letter to the Colorado General Assembly requesting amendment to Senate Bill 25-001. Hopefully everybody got a chance to review that. And does anybody have any questions or concerns on that? Nope.
I appreciate it.
All right. So,
Resolution.
pardon me?
I-
Say it approved resolution, but I don't know.
I got it. I can.
Okay.
I move to adopt resolution 2025-12, a resolution authorizing the mayor to submit a letter to the Colorado General Assembly requesting amendments to Senate Bill 25-001.
Second.
Questions?
Counselor Downs,
Yes.
Counselor Miller,
Yes.
Counselor Williams,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
and Counselor Parrish.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Oh, now we're back to our reports. Who would like to go first?
Well, seems I've made half my report already. Just say, I'm really happy I got at least one committee that seems to be doing things that are interesting to the city of Fruita. The Tourism Council was, Barnhart made presentation on their 4 ideas. I think the council was very happy of the decision that they had made for Barnhart because it was dramatic. I think the change and the thinking outside of the box. The last 2 approaches had the whole council laughing and smiling and being very happy. So, so the council decided on one that was what we needed to do so that they could then put together the whole program, how they were going to introduce that. There was some comments about maybe incorporating a couple of things from the other ideas into that one, which I think is very workable. But it has to do with Mike the Headless Chicken.
Oh, okay.
Because it truly is the unique thing of the 4 presentations. It was the one thing that was truly Fruita, unique to Fruita, not like any of the other ad campaigns that go on for the other little towns in Colorado. So I think
Our mutilated animal is going to be the focus of our.
Well, it's
and that concern was brought up, but at the same time, Mike the Headless Chicken's been a part of Fruita for a whole long time. Yeah, it's image of a headless chicken and no brainer is the comment. It was truly, it was very captivating, and I think
It's captivating, all right. Keep captivating, yeah.
But I think we'll be very pleased.
Well, it coincides with the 25th anniversary of the festival this year, which is going to be the biggest festival we've ever done. So that's
Yeah,
good.
exactly. And I think, they had some great ideas of how to utilize that in the different media. So I think it'll be, I think you'll be very pleased when that final is.
Still looking forward to this. So looking forward to this.
So, yeah,
The
that's all.
challenge is it cost me personally a lot of money.
What?
Last year, I can't tell you how many t-shirts I bought. I sent like 20 t-shirts to India because my team there is like all wanted it. I mean, it's unbelievable how popular.
I get texts from bands
Yeah.
all over the country go, dude, I just saw someone with a Mike the Headless Chicken shirt. Like the bands that we have come play. They'll be like, I was at the airport and I saw some, and I'm like, what? What are you talking
My
about?
wife was insane.
People love it.
They were
Mhm.
talking about Mike the Headless Chicken.
Mhm.
It's unbelievable the reach Mike has.
Can I have a refresher? Like the tourism council has autonomy in making these decisions. Like these aren't things that come to us that we ultimately have to approve.
It's a recommending body, so it does recommend to the city council, but in the past, we've generally, council sets the overall direction and then the tourism board kind of makes some of those more, not operational, but more of those decisions that come before them. They do a lot on special event funding, mini grants, and a rebrand, like this one is one that we could definitely share with council. I think they're probably planning on sharing at some point, but they eventually recommend that. Yeah.
I'm not actually asking
Oh, sure.
for
Yeah.
like responsibility on our end.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not. I just wanted to clarify what is our role in
Yeah.
this process.
And in addition to the decision on the ad campaign, they're working on a process for the mini grants. that's more formalized, that allows the applicants and the council to make a more structured decision
Yep, and
as to why, you know, they rate.
Johanna brought that up at the boards and commissions gathering that we had, that like a where it's more evenly like.
Right. So that, we didn't get a chance as the council to talk about that, but we've had presented an idea and a spreadsheet and for the meeting in the end of the month, we'll talk about and decide on that.
That's great.
But to your question, Councilperson, I would say on all matters, probably council has the final decision-making authority if requested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, sir?
No, that's all I have.
All right, we're just gonna go down the row.
All right, one update, same one I've done the last 3 times, which is Coco Vino Friday, and that's all I got.
Our ticket sales coming.
That's a good question. I think last I heard we were about halfway there to selling out, and that tends to ramp up a lot about 3 days before the event. So I've noticed we Fruitians are like kind of last minute folks. So we're expecting a great turnout, and all of the Arts and Culture Board members have tasks and energy and excitement about it. So yeah, should be another good event.
I would ask if council's comfortable, share it on your social media.
Yes, have.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Amy?
Oh, cool.
I will see you there.
Good question, because a lot of us are going to be there.
Sure.
We need to,
Yeah, it'll be publicly noticed. Yeah. Yeah. And 77 out of 120 were sold as of yesterday morning. Yeah. So probably more by now.
Right.
Yeah.
I did the tour, the resource center tour. And I'm so glad I did. It was really interesting to see. It was super quick. Just did like a quick overview of, kind of the history and the process, like where we started, where we're at now, where, they're trying to move forward, the impact they've made, the lessons they've learned. That was the biggest piece for me, was like the takeaway about what they've learned, and the things that they needed to get set up. And the trust that they've earned in that community. They're providing far more resources and connections than ever historically. So that was, I'm really curious to see how that ends up moving forward. But really glad that I attended that. And then, streetlights.
Oh, yeah.
Who do we need to direct?
oh,
Street lights. Yeah, jazz hands. It's a flickering, the lights are going out.
Public Works, usually they will contact someone from Excel. Those can take quite a bit of time. I think in this instance, it is Excel that would have to make the change on this particular streetlight. If we're thinking of the same one, 18 and K, 18 and a half. So we have contacted Excel. It takes them a while to get back to us on things sometimes. So
Did that
Individual.
process has been initiated. But
we,
that was a big part of the complaint.
Yeah.
oh, sure. Yeah.
And it was not like communicated.
Yeah.
And if there's I think it would be a really great, it sounds like question of.
Oh, yeah. FAQ. Yeah. 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 We can definitely do that.
Kind of sparked oh yeah, mine, I've had the same.
Mhm.
So when I see that, I like to just, if we can.
Right.
Or, if I can have a link to wherever they need to go.
Yeah.
I'm happy to share those.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, we can definitely follow up. Yeah. I imagine we probably have their contact information if they've contacted Public Works. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
The comment sounded like they hadn't actually had a chance to talk to somebody in person, like left messages and.
Yes.
Yes, so. Awesome.
That's all I got.
anything else? Janine?
Oh, yes, you did. Well, several of us were at that the boards and commissions gathering, and it was really great. It was fun. There was a good turnout, and there were some connections made, I think, like, oh yeah, let's get together and share these ideas we're heading in. It was just a great thing to do. One of the ones that we're going to continue to do. The NCR did a great job, and it was fantastic.
Add on my notes, it will be interesting to see how those quarterly meetings evolve in terms of not only building connections across boards and commissions, but you and I touched on it briefly in terms of joint focus on certain items and how do we start to incorporate that so all the boards and commissions can work towards like localism is that
Yeah.
we determined was a priority. How can, we start to push that across the board?
And there was a concerning incident that happened to a city market employee in the parking lot. Like hate talk, and I'm just bringing that to aware, like several of us probably saw that, but I just want to bring awareness to all of us that these things are out there, and whatever we need to do to stand up against that. I just want to bring that to attention here.
I thought the responses were incredibly
Yes.
interesting. Like,
I hope that she saw them.
Too. Yeah.
Because it was funny because Sam was at City Market earlier that day and had already commented on how sweet that girl was. And then that just happened to happen, and it was terrible to hear that.
That does not align with who we are.
No, not in any way.
which was the
I just wanna-
resounding response. Yeah.
Should we reach out?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think that would hurt. I mean, if we said hi, just, we see you, we don't want you to think that.
And on a personal level, yeah, I
Sure.
think we all should. I mean, it's up to us as
I mean,
individuals.
I already planned on if I ran into her next time I was in City Market, but I don't think it would hurt as us as a council or as a mayor to just make that personal connection and go out of our way to make the opposite of what she experienced. I don't know what that looks like,
May
but
not be a bad idea over there just to bring it up
Yes.
to them
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perhaps share our
Inclusivity
Proclamation.
proclamation. That's what I was thinking. Like, post that on the, just make that as visible as our inclusivity as we can, because that speaks to what we won't stand for. So, yeah.
Anything else? James, you're up.
a couple things I wanted to talk about is family or the chamber is put together their banquet. It's coming up, golden ticket. So if we could figure out who wants to go to that, it's always nice for us to support that.
You already said it.
And jump ahead.
I mean, we already responded back with yes.
Oh, I guess I didn't see that email. Okay, good. So I just wanted to make sure that we had that on our radar.
Yeah, we ended up with 2 full tables, so we just assumed +1 for everyone. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
The rumor is it's
Go ahead.
going to be Pi, the city manager.
Oh.
the city manager. Oh.
Yeah. You didn't know that,
She hasn't been brought up at a meeting,
Looks
but I
very
will.
surprised. What?
There you go. Got to find a babysitter.
Yeah, that's exciting.
One thing that we had talked about a while back, and it kind of got kicked to the curb, and we haven't really talked about the rec center memberships. We all get memberships to the rec center, but none of us really use them because we can't have our family members. So I wanted to see, we talked about revisiting that and seeing if we wanted to update that. And we just never had done it. So I just wanted to see if you guys had an interest in making it so that, I don't know, to change, we as council members, we get our membership, but if spouses and kids would get it, it probably would actually be useful. And then I thought about it a little further, and I was like, I would be like of the mind that city employees could have membership to it as well. But that was just my thought, and I wanted to bring that back up to see if anybody agreed or disagreed or had any thoughts about it.
For discussion.
I
Yeah.
would too.
Same.
And some of us do use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just, it's,
And I hear you. and
I
get
thought it the other day. I was like,
conversation.
oh, you know what? My back's bugging me. Now I see why old dudes go play basketball all the time. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not going to do it because I don't really do stuff without my wife. So I'm like, that's not really ever
You
going
want
to
her
happen.
bossing you around there too?
No, I don't. She's cute to look at,
We
but
do
I
pay
just,
taxes on
but
those.
no, I thought that though. I thought about it. I go, well, maybe that's, we were talked about it, but we never talked about it again. So I wanted to bring that back up and see if there
We can
was
just add it
future for it.
too. Would be great. Thank you.
That's
Like I said, for the
More
record,
workshops, you know.
we do.
More
pay-
workshops. Of course.
You have to pay taxes on those.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a part of the conversation. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I just remember we had talked about it real briefly and we never talked
So
about
I
it.
guess part of that, if we can kind of try to figure out what, or if we could figure out what those costs would be,
Yeah, that'd
be appreciated.
What the impact fee
Yep.
would be.
Yeah. And that's it for me.
I see CML registration is open. Shannon said, hotel rooms went within 20 minutes or something ridiculous like that.
But we got them.
We did. We have one issue. So, well, we ended up with too many actually, because I panicked and I was the only one there. Yeah, there you go. One person will have to stay offsite with me right down the road. That's it. But we have three, not with me.
Is that?
In a separate room at the I can't remember what they called it, the other participating. So it's not the actual resort hotel Beaver Run. It is the one down the street.
That we've been at before.
So
Yeah.
We're at before.
Yep. Yeah.
planes,
So
trains, automobiles.
yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. So we have 3 rooms at the Beaver Run and then way too many at the other one, but we've already found uses for them. City of Grand Junction needs a few, so we might be good neighbors and offload, but yeah, we'll sort that out for sure.
We don't know where they're gonna be yet.
Okay, there's that. So thank you for, I know that was, as soon as it opened, it was a mad rush. So thank you guys for jumping on all of that.
I couldn't believe it, how fast they went. Yeah.
Fruita Academy starts April 2nd.
Yep.
Is that full?
Last time I checked, so while you have other notes, let me look that up, because that's a great question.
To fellow councils, I'm starting to copy you on more emails.
That's great.
Yeah, if they're just addressed to me, I'm not responding back, but if I see everybody that says to council, I'll make sure you do that. The other pushback I got from Aaron was on Sunday emails to, if there's something with a deadline, actually call out a hard deadline versus, sometime this week. So I will be a little bit more mindful of doing that. And that's really all I got.
We're at 28, which might actually be 3 too many, but we're going to let them anyway. So 28. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember, not everybody graduates.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Usually 3 are the ones that is the difference. Yeah. So.
And for the record, that would be my wife.
You remember. I'm sure she appreciates that being
I'm
mentioned
sure she
every
does.
single time.
All right. I don't see any reason to go into executive session.
I don't either.
All right. All right. With that, the time is 8:33.
Can I ask about the attorney review? When is that supposed to take place?
We are working on scheduling that.
Okay.
Shannon and I have last Thursday started discussing that. It will be probably within the next 6 weeks or so. I did send that out just to make sure everybody's comfortable with the questions. And then we'll do it like we did last time, is set it up as an actual form. And thank you for reminding me of that. Shannon and I also started talking about scheduling a check-in with council. Just make sure we're providing support. He's got what he needs and check in. All right.
April 1st, we've actually just confirmed with Mary Elizabeth before.
Okay. Well, then we got some work to do. All right. Anybody have anything else?
Oh,
We got literally beat up.
like a punch beat up?
Physically thrown around.
Oh.
Sorry to hear that. All right. Well, now the time is 8:34. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
8 o'clock hours?
I hate
It's the last time that happened.
cannot even.
I don't know.
What was?
I was gonna blame it on Rich and Andrea, but they don't ever talk, so.